Something about you was never normal. And deep down, you've always known it. From the very beginning, you felt it. That quiet, unexplainable difference. While everyone else seemed to fit in, to move with the flow of the world, you stood there watching, feeling like you were seeing something others couldn't see, like you were hearing a voice they couldn't hear. And no matter how hard you tried to ignore it, no matter how much you tried to blend in, it never left you. This is not a coincidence. You didn't just stumble onto this video by accident. Out of billions of videos, billions of voices, somehow, you are here, right now, listening to these exact words. That's not random. That's not luck. God brought you here. Because there's something you need to understand about yourself. Something that might finally make sense of the confusion, the loneliness, the pressure, and even the pain you've carried for so long. You were never meant to be like everyone else. And that feeling you've been trying to push away, that sense that you're different, set apart, even misunderstood, it's not a flaw, it's a sign. Think about it. How many times have you walked into a room and instantly felt out of place, even when no one said a word? How many times have people misunderstood your intentions, judged your silence, or questioned your depth? It's like you're speaking a different language, one that only a few can truly understand. And maybe, just maybe, you've started to wonder if something is wrong with you. But what if I told you the exact opposite is true? What if the very thing that made you feel isolated is actually the evidence that you've been chosen? Because being chosen doesn't feel like what people expect. It doesn't feel glamorous. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. Most of the time, it feels heavy. It feels confusing. It feels like carrying a truth inside you that the world isn't ready to hear. You see, God doesn't choose people who already fit the mold. He chooses the ones who were never meant to fit it in the first place. And that's why your journey has been different. That's why you've faced battles that others around you couldn't even understand. That's why you've had moments where everything seemed to fall apart, only for something deeper to be built inside of you. Strength, discernment, awareness. There's a reason you notice things others ignore. There's a reason you feel things more deeply. There's a reason you've always questioned what others blindly accept. This is not a coincidence, it's a pattern, a divine pattern. And once you begin to see it, once you start connecting the dots of your life, everything changes. The confusion begins to fade. The pain begins to make sense. Even the rejection starts to feel like protection, because maybe those doors didn't close on you because you weren't good enough. Maybe they closed because you were never meant to walk through them. And that's the part no one talks about. Being chosen often means being set apart. It means walking a path that feels lonely at times. It means trusting God, even when you don't fully understand what He's doing in your life. But here's the truth that will shake you. The very things that made you feel like an outsider are the exact signs that you are operating on a different level, a spiritual level, a level that not everyone can reach, because not everyone is called. And that's why you've always felt like there's more to life, more to your purpose, more to who you are, even when everything around you tried to convince you to settle, to shrink, to become normal. Something inside you refused. Something inside you kept whispering, "This isn't it." That voice, that pull, that's not your imagination, that's your calling. And today, right now, you're starting to wake up to it, because God brought you here to remind you of something you were never supposed to forget. You are not like everyone else, and you were never supposed to be. So don't ignore that feeling anymore. Don't silence that voice. Don't shrink yourself just to make others comfortable, because the moment you start embracing who you truly are, everything begins to shift. Your perspective changes, your purpose becomes clearer, and the pieces of your life finally start to come together. But before that happens, you need to recognize the signs that have been there all along, the signs that prove this isn't just in your head, that you've truly been set apart for something greater. And the first sign might explain your entire life in a way you never expected. You didn't learn to be different. You were born that way, before anyone ever labeled you as quiet, weird, too deep, or hard to understand. You already felt it inside, that invisible gap between you and the world. Not because you were trying to be different, but because you simply were. Even as a child, while others found comfort in things you couldn't connect with, you were observing, thinking, feeling everything on a level that didn't match your age, your environment, or your surroundings. You didn't choose this. It chose you, and that's the first sign. You are not like everyone else. You've always felt different. It's not something that started later in life. It didn't begin after a failure, a heartbreak, or a painful experience. It was there from the start. Quiet, that you don't fully belong where you are. That sense that you're seeing life through a slightly different lens than everyone else around you, while others were focused on fitting in. You were questioning why fitting in even mattered. While others were easily entertained, you were searching for meaning. While others followed the crowd without hesitation, you paused. You observed. You felt something was missing, and maybe for a long time you tried to ignore it. Maybe you even tried to become like everyone else, to laugh at things that didn't feel funny, to agree when you didn't, to shrink your thoughts just to feel accepted. But deep down, it never worked, because you weren't created to blend in. And this is not a coincidence. That persistent feeling of being different is not a flaw in your personality. It's a signature, a mark that separates your spirit from the ordinary path most people take without question. You were built with a level of awareness that makes it impossible for you to fully settle into what is shallow, fake, or meaningless. And that's why you've always felt like something about you doesn't fit the system of the world. But here's what you need to understand. That difference is not rejection. It's direction. It's pointing you towards something greater than what you've been surrounded by. And that leads directly into the second sign. Because once you realize you've always been different, you start to notice something even deeper. Something that has followed you everywhere you go. Something that isn't just about how you think, but how you feel. You naturally feel isolated or alone. Not always physically. You can be surrounded by people, laughing in a group, sitting in a room full of voices. and still feel like there's a layer between you and everyone else. Like you're present but not fully connected. Like your soul is standing slightly outside the moment, watching instead of fully belonging, and at times that can feel painful. You may have asked yourself, why do I feel this way even when I'm not alone? Or why don't I feel fully understood by anyone around me? But what if that feeling was never meant to destroy you? What if it was meant to separate you? Because isolation is often where clarity is born. It's where distractions fall away. It's where you begin to hear what you couldn't hear in the noise of the crowd. And for those who are chosen, that space of loneliness becomes something deeper, a preparation ground. Not everyone understands you, because not everyone is meant to walk your path. Not everyone resonates with you, because not everyone carries your level of depth. And that's why even in moments where you tried to belong, life kept gently pulling you back into solitude, not to punish you, but to protect what is growing inside you. Because in that quiet space, something important is forming within you. Something the world cannot shape through noise, validation, or approval. But what if your loneliness was never a weakness, but a sign of something far greater? You see things others ignore, and that's exactly why you've been misunderstood. There's a weight that comes with awareness that most people will never understand. You don't just look at life on the surface. You go deeper. You analyze words, intentions, energy, silence. And while others move on quickly, you stay behind for a moment longer, trying to understand what something really means. This is not a curse, it's a sign. The third sign you are not like everyone else is that you think deeply and question everything. You don't accept things just because they are commonly believed. You don't follow ideas just because they are popular. You ask why when others stay silent. You wonder what if when others are satisfied with that's just how it is. And because of that, people may have called you complicated, overthinking, too serious, too intense. But what they don't realize is this: your mind was never designed for shallow thinking. You were created with depth, with spiritual sensitivity, with the ability to see layers in life that most people walk past without noticing. And yes, it can feel heavy, because when you think deeply, you also feel deeply. You don't just hear words, you feel the energy behind them. You don't just see actions, you question the intention behind them. And sometimes that leads you into moments of isolation inside your own thoughts, where no one else can follow you. But this is where your strength is being formed, because deep thinkers are never easily controlled. They are never easily deceived, and they are never easily distracted by illusions. And that brings us to the fourth sign. You can easily see through fake people, even when you don't want to, even when you try to give people the benefit of the doubt, even when you hope they are genuine. Inside you notices the cracks, the inconsistency in their words, the mismatch between their actions and intentions, the energy that doesn't align. You can sit in a room and sense it without anyone saying a word. Who is real? Who is pretending? Who is hiding something behind a smile? And because of this, you may have been called judgmental, suspicious, distrustful. But that's not what it is. It's discernment. a spiritual awareness that cuts through surface-level appearances and reaches what is hidden underneath. And while this ability protects you from deception, it also creates struggle, because not everyone is ready to be seen that clearly. Not everyone is comfortable around someone who can sense what they try to hide. So sometimes you end up feeling like you don't belong in certain spaces, not because you are better, but because you are awake in ways others are not. And this awareness can be lonely, because once you start seeing through people, you also start seeing how rare genuine energy really is. You stop getting surprised by dishonesty. You stop expecting too much from shallow connections, and slowly you begin to guard your heart more carefully. But here's what you need to understand. This ability is not meant to isolate you forever. It is meant to guide you, to protect you, to align you with the right people, not the comfortable ones. You were never meant to be surrounded by everyone. You were meant to be surrounded by truth. And yes, that truth can be uncomfortable. It can change how you see relationships, friendships, even yourself. But it also elevates you. It refines you. It keeps you from walking into places that were never meant for your spirit. Because when you are chosen, clarity becomes your companion, even when it hurts. And what you once thought was a burden is actually preparation for something greater. And the next signs will reveal why your struggles were never random. The pain you've been through was shaping something inside you. You didn't understand it in the moment. In fact, you may still be trying to make sense of it. The heartbreaks that hit deeper than they should have. The betrayals that came from people you trusted. The seasons where you felt like everything was falling apart, while everyone else seemed to move forward without struggle. But nothing about your pain was random. The fifth sign you are not like everyone else is that you've experienced deep emotional pain. Not surface level disappointment, but the kind of pain that changes the way you see people, life, and even yourself. The kind of pain that makes you question everything you once believed in. The kind that sits quietly in your chest even after time has passed. And for a long time, you may have thought it was just bad luck, or unfair timing, or that life simply chose you to suffer more than others. But what if that pain was never punishment? What if it was preparation? Because chosen paths are often carved through fire, not to destroy you, but to refine what cannot be shaped any other way. The strength you carry now, the awareness you have now, the emotional depth that sets you apart. It didn't come from comfort. It came from what you survived when no one was watching. And that survival changed you. It made you more aware, more cautious, more intentional with who you let close. But it also built something inside you that cannot be easily broken anymore. And from that pain, something even greater began to awaken. The sixth sign is your strong intuition. That inner knowing you can't always explain. The moments where you just feel something before it happens. The times you sense danger, truth, or change before there is any physical evidence of it. It's like something inside you whispers answers before the world reveals them. And sometimes you ignore it, you doubt it. You try to convince yourself it's just overthinking, but deep down, you know it's not, because every time you listened to that quiet inner voice, You either avoided something painful or moved closer to something meaningful. And every time you ignored it, you probably learned a hard lesson afterward. That is not coincidence, that is guidance. A form of spiritual awareness that grows stronger the more you walk through uncertainty. It's not loud, it doesn't force you, it simply speaks and waits for you to listen. And the more you go through life, the clearer it becomes that you are being led in ways you cannot always see, but you can feel. And that feeling leads directly into the seventh sign. You feel a higher purpose, even when life doesn't make sense, even when you feel tired, even when you question everything. There is still something inside you that refuses to believe your life is meaningless. A quiet but persistent pull that tells you there is more waiting for you, more to become, more to give, more to fulfill. It's not about fame or recognition. It's something deeper, something spiritual, something that feels like you were placed here for a reason that hasn't fully unfolded yet. And that's why you can't fully settle. That's why comfort never feels like the final destination. That's why, even in your lowest moments, a part of you still believes you are meant for something greater. Because chosen people don't just live life, they carry purpose within it. And everything you've been through, every sign, every struggle, every moment of feeling different, has been quietly aligning you with that purpose. You are not broken, you are being built. And nothing about your journey has been wasted. But none of this truly makes sense until you understand what God is preparing you for next. You were never meant to be like everyone else. You were meant to be set apart. Everything you felt, every moment of confusion, every season of loneliness, every time you questioned why your life feels different from others, it was never random. It was never meaningless. It was never a mistake. It was a process. From the very beginning, you carried signs within you that pointed to something deeper. You felt different. Long before anyone could explain why, you naturally found yourself standing apart. Not because you wanted distance, but because something inside you could never fully align with what felt shallow or empty. You thought deeply when others stayed on the surface. You questioned what others accepted without hesitation. You saw through people, through situations, through words that didn't match energy. And yes, it made life harder at times, because awareness often does. But it also made you stronger in ways you don't even realize yet. Even the loneliness you carried was not a punishment. It was protection. It was a space where distractions were removed, so your spirit could be shaped without noise. You weren't being abandoned. You were being prepared. Prepared for clarity. Prepared for strength. Prepared for a path that requires more than just following the crowd. And then came the pain. The deep, emotional wounds changed how you see everything. The losses that taught you discernment. The betrayals that taught you boundaries. The silent battles that no one else witnessed, but God saw every single one of them. None of it was wasted. It all built something inside you that cannot be easily shaken anymore. And through it all, your intuition began to sharpen. That quiet voice within you started becoming louder, clearer, more undeniable, guiding you, warning you, redirecting you. Not as imagination, but as divine alignment. You may not always understand it, but you feel it. And that feeling has saved you more times than you realize. And beneath everything, there is still that deep sense of purpose, a knowing that your life is meant to matter in a way that goes beyond ordinary existence, that your story is still unfolding, that you are being guided towards something greater than what you can currently see. This is the truth about being chosen. It doesn't always feel powerful. At first, sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels isolating. Sometimes it feels like you are walking a path no one else understands. But over time, you begin to realize you were never meant to follow the same road as everyone else. You were meant to illuminate a different one. And if you are hearing this right now, feeling something inside, you resonate deeply, don't ignore it. This is not just a message. This is a reminder of who you are. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are being shaped. And everything you thought was breaking you was actually building you into someone stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true purpose. So, take this as your moment of awakening. Stop doubting what you feel inside. Stop shrinking your spirit to fit into spaces you were never meant to stay in. Start trusting the process that has been guiding you all along. If this message resonates with your soul, comment Amen below as a declaration of faith and recognition. Subscribe to this channel for more messages that speak directly to your spirit, and like and share this video so someone else who feels different can be reminded that they are not alone, because maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to blend in with the world. You were meant to rise above it.